Okay, it looks like we have 100 participants in the room, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. First of all, I'd like to say welcome to everyone. Thank you for joining us to the Los Rios Community College Internship Info Session for Intel. Looks like we're still having some people come on in. And if you're joining us from the YouTube live stream as well, thank you for joining us. And I'm going to ask our tech people if it looks like everyone is in the background. Okay, all right. So again, thank you for joining us. This is the Intel Internship Info Session hosted by Los Rios. My name is Vivian Dillon. I am the Faculty Coordinator of Work Experience at American River College. I do want to just acknowledge work experience. Some of you may not know that at each of the 4 colleges, there is a work experience program there at the college to support you in your internship search. Some of the things that the program does, we host events such as this, and some of you may have already attended some events. I know FLC has their internship info session coming up right around the corner. We work with employers to develop internship opportunities. We work one-on-one with students in the internship process, which may include interviewing and resume as well. And we also offer students a class where they can earn academic credit for their internship experience, as well as volunteer positions and paid work if it's related to their field. Students can earn 1 to 4 units through that class. And it's also part of Area 3B Living Skills, GE Pattern, and some of the courses are actually CSU transferable. So if you're looking for more information at your college about work experience, you can see the contact names. And I just want to give a quick shout out to the work experience team as part of Los Rios. I'll go in alpha order, which I love because American River College is first. Again, I'm Vivian Dillon, I'm the faculty coordinator. We have Kat Pullman, who is the internship developer. There she is giving you a wave. From CRC, we have Eileen Williams. And Folsom Lake, we have Julie Collier, who's a faculty coordinator. There she is. Ashley Slovak is a work-based learning there at FLC. And last but certainly not least, we have Sacramento City College. Tracy Hodge is the faculty coordinator there. And Monica Sousa is the internship developer. So now that I've given a brief introductions, we will get to the speakers, but I do want to pass it on to Ashley, who's going to go over some logistics for the meeting for students, just so you know how this is going to work. So Ashley, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Vivian, for the introduction and for kicking us off on this amazing presentation. We're so excited everyone's here. I just want to remind everyone to please mute yourselves. And if you are having logistical issues, the chat will be available to message one of our team members. We will be there to support you. This presentation will be recorded and it will be posted online. We will let you know which websites those are posted. The recording will be posted on. It will be have a timestamp on it. So make sure that when we do put that up on our website, it will be taken down within a certain amount of time. We don't have that date yet, but we will be putting that in our email as a follow-up. Please save your questions for the end of the presentation. I'm sure you guys all came with a ton of questions. We will give you a chance to input your questions then, and they will be answered in order of input. So I just want to let you know we do have a lot of participants on today's call. If you do have a question that wasn't answered, we will have a secondary event planned for late October, and we will let you guys know about that.
Okay, thank you, Ashley, for going over those much needed Zoom logistics. It's always important to go over that. So now I'm going to introduce the reason why you're all here, our amazing team from Intel. We have with us today, we have 3 representatives from Intel. We have Nathan Schwemmer. Did I say that right, Nathan? Did I get it close enough? He is the customer sales analyst at Intel. Um, you'll hear more about Nathan's bio, but one thing that I found, a few fun facts, is that he majored in film. But there's a lot more interesting things about Nathan. And next we have Christina Guerrera. She is the staffing manager at Intel. One of the interesting facts about Christina is that she is a restaurant owner for over 25 years. So talk about being able to juggle multiple things. And last we have Mark Fiore. His working title at Intel is Enterprise Business Planning. And the fun fact that I found really interesting about Mark is that he was lost in the jungle in Guam for 24 hours, which I'm sure that's a fascinating story. But we have a really dynamic group here to talk to you about Intel. So with that, I will turn it over to Mark.
Great. Thanks, Vivian. Okay, good afternoon. First of all, I'd really like to thank Los Rios for allowing us to come in and do the presentation. What we'll talk about today is an extremely important part of our hiring pipeline. You know, we really like to reach out to as many colleges and universities as we can to really greet and meet with a diverse set of individuals. We really kind of hold that as an endearing quality to Intel, and it makes us all better employees. So we love coming to the community colleges. I think they're really underutilized by a lot of companies, and we get a lot of value out of this. So thank you. So what we'll do today is I'll have my team do a quick introductions of themselves, kind of give you their bios. I think it's important to know where individuals are coming from, what their backgrounds are. I think it kind of puts a personal touch on it. And then from there, what we'll do is I'll give you a broad overview of Intel. And then we'll kind of take a step and peel back the layer to the sales and marketing group, which is what we're here representing today. And then within sales and marketing, we have a group called Business Management Group, which is really the operations center for all of Intel. And then within the Business Management Group, or BMG, is America's Operations, which is where we're from and where we're hiring today. So if you came here, and I'll say this a couple of times because I want to make sure we're very clear on what we're after and what these requisitions are for. These are non-tech opportunities. This is not IT hiring. This is not engineering. We have other folks within Intel that do that both locally and nationally. We are here for specifically operations and more specifically the group that resides in Folsom, California. So let's get into it. Our first team member, as he's introduced Nathan, I'll let him kind of give a quick background and a few fun facts.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. So my name is Nathan Schwemmer. I've been with Intel now for just under 2 years, hitting that milestone next month, actually. You can see my career journey there is a little non-traditional, which I like to highlight. I was actually managing in a movie theater before I had started with Intel. I was also bartending, doing freelance videography. So not really the typical background you would expect for someone who works here. But already stolen one of my favorite fun facts for me is that I did major in film. Very passionate about that. You can see I have a quote from one of my favorite directors there. And I'm a big fan of community theater as well as music. So I actually have been playing piano and guitar for most of my life now. My current title is a customer sales analyst, and I work on the Team Apple account in BMG.
Great. Thanks, Nathan. Then we have Christina Guerrera. You might be on mute, Christina. We can't hear you.
Let's do that. Let's try again there.
There you go.
Hi, everyone. My name's Christina Guerrera, and as Vivian mentioned, I've been with Intel for 25 years. I started right out of college, went to Sac State here in Sacramento area, and have lived in the area for all of my life. So it was a big part of coming into Intel. Just wanted to high level share my career journey in those 25 years. Prior to working for Intel, I was working in the baking industry. I also worked in the restaurant, and so very similar to Nathan, where it's not necessarily a traditional role, but I learned extreme things of like customer service and just solving problems for people, which has made me have a strong foundation at Intel. While at Intel, I have managed people. That's actually something I love to do. My current role, though, is staffing for our Americas Operations organization. The organization is about 145 people, primarily located in Folsom, California, down the street, and also in Costa Rica. We have about 20 people there, and I just love getting to meet with people and recruiting the top talent in the area. So happy to be here today with you.
Great, thanks, Christina. Okay, and my name is Mark Priorit. My background is a little bit different than most that I come across within operations group. I actually did my undergraduate work at the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis, and then I spent about a decade in the Navy. I then had this burning desire since I was a kid to work on Wall Street, and I was an investment banker in institutional equity research for about 6 years. And then I left and took a job in the East Bay at a company called Systron Donner that designed and manufactured stability control sensors for the automotive and aerospace industry. And so I got a lot of good manufacturing experience there. And then I finally found Intel, and I've been here for about 15 years. You can see from my bio that I've had a lot of great and challenging roles throughout my 15 years. Currently, I'm working on helping the company transform the way we do business internally. We are changing a lot of our processes, and we're also making huge changes to our data infrastructure and our back-end system so that we have a much more efficient way to operate. I love the outdoors. I've been an athlete my whole life. I've had some interesting experiences there too. As Vivian mentioned, being lost in a jungle in Guam. But I just love living life to the fullest and you know, have still a lot to do. So the one thing I'll note about these, about the three bios, and one thing I really want to impress upon everybody is that if you look across America's operations and even in BMG, you're going to see a huge diversity of individuals coming from all different backgrounds. And I think that's one of the things that makes us a very good group, a very efficient group, and a very strong group. Nathan's a great example. You know, I actually was on the hiring interview with Nathan. I was the one who found his resume. It's not a resume that normally I would look through and say, this is somebody I really want to interview. But something struck me on his resume that I liked, and he came in and he pretty much crushed the interview. And he was a great hire and easy decision to make. So the point being that you don't have to come from what somebody may say is this traditional background with like these 5 bullets and this class and this work experience. We're really just looking for super talented people who are motivated, who bring different experiences in life and different experiences in business. So never discount yourself, never count yourself out. Okay, so Intel. Who is Intel? So as the slide said, our purpose really is to create world-changing technologies that enriches the lives of every person on Earth. Intel really put the silicon in Silicon Valley. Today, we're applying our reach and our scale and resources to really deliver on some big, bold goals. And we don't do it alone. We work with our customers and galvanize the industry for even more impact. With Intel, our customers really make the road safer. They make climate change. They make healthcare more accessible. Really working just across all industries to make lives easier and more efficient. And our solutions really do unleash an unlimited potential of data, which we'll get into here in a few slides, leading to innovations and improving people's lives all over the world. So data, let's talk about data. This is a staggering number to me. The world creates 2.5 quintillion, and that's 2.5 with 17 zeros at the end of it, of bytes of data every single day. The problem is only a fraction of that's utilized. So data really has emerged as a transformational force, really kind of in this era where the explosion of devices permeates all of our interactions. More and more edge devices every single day, from from new phones to different sensors being used in all types of applications. So really everything, our homes, our cars, our cities, our hospitals, everything is starting to look like a computer, and it's all generating a huge and staggering amount of data and information. Retail stores, hospitals, manufacturing plants. But the problem is that data has no value unless it's turned into actionable insights. And right now, we're just at the precipice of being able to start to use a lot of this data. So in addition to the growth of data, it's inextricably linked to these 3 tech influences that you see on this slide. The first is AI, 5G network transformation, and really the rise of the intelligent edge. And when I say the rise of the intelligent edge, again, I'm talking about all those end devices, those edge devices that are now cropping up everywhere. Okay, so in really this new era, success is really going to be measured about how well data-based actionable insights are really brought to key moments of human needs. But in order to really unleash all of that potential, it really has to be moved, it has to be stored, processed faster and more securely than ever before. And our ambition really is to be the trusted performance leader playing in an even bigger role with our customer successes. So our journey. So if I were to come here 10, 15 years ago and asked you who Intel is, I think most people probably wouldn't have known who we were. But those who did would probably say, oh, well, you're a PC company. And really, they would have been right. Back then, we were producing CPUs, the brains of your computer, chipsets, and a few other ancillary devices. But really, our journey over the past 15 years, as the complexity and volume of data explodes, really, we're also on this journey of bringing this processed data to the moments of needs, the moments of decisions and action. And we have really expanded well beyond the PC to deliver really the best semiconductors and solutions for a world that really increasingly runs on data. So our pillars. As we really are driving to accelerate the pace of all this innovation and leadership, that's really, it's really anchored upon these 6 pillars. And I'll start from the inside and I'll work my way out. So with process and packaging, we really are creating a new wave of compute engines that mix and match different intellectual properties from different process technologies and combining those for new types of devices. Our architecture, our processors span 4 major computing architectures and in really moving towards an era of heterogeneous computing. And that will become more and more relevant, I think, in probably the next 5 or 6 years. Memory. Most people don't know we're in the memory business. With our 3D NAND technology and our Intel Optane, we really are developing products that are really disrupting the memory and storage hierarchy and disrupting a lot of the competition in the market. Our interconnects, the things that move atoms across our devices. It really scales from like moving from microns all the way to miles across all different types of interconnect layers. And then we're also in security and software. Again, people don't know that. So we've developed new and innovative ways to build kind of a more trusted foundation, and it's really linked to our data-centric world. And then software, you know, like our One API, which really kind of unleashes the potential of a lot of the hardware and the workloads, domains, and some of the architectures that you're seeing in the industry with some of our, with a lot of our customers. Okay, so our, you know, Intel really has a long-standing commitment to corporate responsibility and sustainability. You see it at all levels of Intel, from our CEO all the way down to, you know, our newly hired employees. And really, it's been built on a strong foundation of transparency, governance, and ethics. It's deeply integrated throughout all aspects of our business. Our integrated approach really has created significant value for Intel and our stakeholders by really helping us mitigate risks, reduce costs, and really build a brand value and identify new opportunities in the market that apply our technology to address society's most complex issues. Our commitment to this transparency and setting really these really huge ambition goals has really enabled us to drive really meaningful results and challenge ourselves to achieve higher levels of performance. They include programs like reducing greenhouse gas emissions, increasing renewable energy resources, reducing our water usage, advancing our workforce diversity and inclusion, driving responsible supply chain practices, and really enabling our employees to continue the support of the local communities. And I think later on in the presentation, Christina will talk about some of the events that we do within our community each year. Okay, so that's the greater Intel. Now we're going to dive into one of the big divisions within Intel that really drives all the sales and is linked to just about all the operations within the business. So our sales and marketing organization. And I won't go through all of these different business units or countries and territories. We're really going to focus on the yellow block there because that's kind of why we're here. But the sales and marketing organization really is where all the businesses come together, and we provide and we drive solutions to our customer. We really kind of reinforce our brand value. So within there, we have business units that cover all different industries. I know there's a lot of acronyms here that I don't expect you to remember, but if you look across the left-hand side, our CCG, which is our client computing group, is all the PCs that you see. We have a data center group for servers and our data. NSG is for our non-volatile memory, which is our SSDs. And then IoT really for those edge devices. And then we have a group that's a programmable solutions group. We're also broken up into country and territories. And then we have a couple of ancillary groups like our marketing, central marketing operations, global communications. And then this is where BMG comes into play. So BMG is the business management group. And really, we'll get into some details here in a couple of slides, but that is where all the operations around Intel resides. We touch just about every single division with Intel and every single customer that Intel has. So here's SMG by the numbers. And this is just the sales and marketing group. So sales and marketing has about 6,000 people. Intel employs over 100,000 people worldwide. So those 7,000 people in the sales and marketing group are located in 50 countries, over 120 office locations, and in the 14 business groups that we just went through in the last slide. And there's really 110 different types of roles and jobs within the sales and marketing group. We'll only go through a couple of those today, but one of the things that we are really proud of as an operations group is we really are partly a feeder group for the greater sales and marketing group. A lot of the employees come in and they have a really great 2 or 3 years. They decide that they've created connections and network with others in the sales and marketing group, and they find opportunities, and they go off to have successful careers outside of operations, but still within our bigger family of the sales and marketing group. Some folks like me, Christina, have spent our whole entire careers in operations. That's where I prefer to be, and that's my personal choice. But the point being is there's a ton of opportunity starting in the operations group. Okay, I won't spend a lot of time on this, but these are really our core values. And you'll see these if you go to the Intel website. And the sales and marketing group really has kind of taken these core values and we've taken them a step further. A lot of words on the page, but you really kind of get the message of who we are, our integrity and our ethics within these cultural pillars that are across the top. Okay, so the business management group. So who are we and what do we do? As I mentioned, the business management group really is the operations center for all of Intel, for its hundreds and hundreds of customers. We manage over $70 billion of revenue a year. And within that, we have groups that work customer engagement and orientation, bringing on new customers and new business models. We have a cross Intel business process of folks who sort of bridge the gap across different business units and different processes and different management groups. We run all the supply chain programs and strategies across the company. We have a group that does long-term and long-range forecasting. They forecast the markets. We have economists that run complex models to understand what's happening with the economies and with the PC market and with data. We also have folks who do a lot of strategic planning, looking at, what do we need to do to load the factories 2, 3, 4 years from now? Where do we need to invest our resources in? What factories do we need to build and enable? We have another group that runs all of our pricing strategies and engages all of our customers with price negotiations and rebate programs and incentives to get them to buy and use our products. And then we have a group that runs our tools and systems. And this group partners with our IT solutions group, but these are more business-oriented folks who understand the needs of the business, but also have that technical savvy that understand how our back end runs. And they kind of bridge the gap between pure IT and the solutions that we need to run our business. And then, of course, we have our sales and marketing commissions and incentive group. A lot of our folks outside of operations work on partly a commission-based process, and these folks develop the types of programs and incentives that keep our sales force motivated and pay them based on their successes. One thing I will point out is these dark, bold-colored line items are really the core of what we do within America's operations. And then these other items that I talked about are done within the greater BMG group. Okay, so we've talked about BMG. Now let's get into America's operations. So who are we? So the operations groups are split into 4 geographical groups. We have the Americas, we have Europe, Eastern, Middle East, and Africa. We have the greater Asia Pacific region, and then we have China. So those are our 4 main regional areas. Again, what we're here for today is to look for really strong talent to help us in our Americas operations group and have a great, starting with a great summer internship that could potentially lead to a full-time offer once you graduate from college. So we really are the operations team for our sales and marketing group. As I mentioned in the last slide, we do a lot of forecasting and sales, both sales and consumption across the Americas. And we're really broken up and divided by certain sets of customers. So in the Americas, we just happen to be responsible for greater than 50% of Intel's $70+ billion of revenue that's generated each year. We own customers and we engage with customers like Dell, HP, Google, Microsoft, Facebook, a lot of the data center groups like Cisco Systems. Some of the other regions own different sets of customers like Lenovo's and Acer's and Asus's, and we just, it's typically based on where the customer's home base is, so we just happen to be the largest region of all the operations in SMG. Okay, so if you don't pay attention to any of the slides, make sure you pay attention to this. This is the slide I always tell folks, if you want to be successful within our group, if you want to have a great opportunity to potentially get hired, this is the slides you need to pay attention to. Our job roles are extremely challenging. They're complex, but they're extremely fun to do, and we have a great culture of teamwork, and we work hard and play hard. But you really need to have great analytical problem-solving capabilities. We look at a lot of complex data sets, and we're sifting through data and trying to create stories and come to conclusions out of that. You really have to have a good communication skills, both verbal and written, because you're dealing with customers, you're dealing with field, you're dealing with internal stakeholders, you're dealing with the factory. And you have to be able to take complex messages and take them down to very concise messaging in order to be successful and efficient. You have to be able to influence. And then we also expect everyone at every level, whether they're managing people or they're just managing a process, to be leaders within the group. Okay, so now we're going to start getting into more of the opportunities that you have within our group and what we're offering for summer internship. And I'll turn it over to Christina to talk about our diversity and inclusion priorities, and then specifically about our program.
Thank you, Mark. So as Mark has talked about throughout the presentation, a large focus for Intel is really making sure that we have diverse perspectives and that we have diversity in our hiring. We want all different types of backgrounds to help come up with the solutions that help us to build the best technology for the entire globe. Inclusion is really around making sure that everyone's voice is heard. I really like the last bullet that Mark just walked through, where we talk about, we're looking for leadership at all levels. And so in order to hear all ideas, you want to make sure that people feel included and that they're able to actually give their opinions on ideas, et cetera. So this is a very big focus for Intel. It has been for several years. As you can see from some of the comments here on this chart, you'll notice that, it's a focus for our leadership. We make sure that our leaders are being measured and that they have the skills and tools that they need to be able to ensure that there's inclusion in everything that we do. We want to make sure that we have all those perspectives, and ultimately, we want to make sure that Intel has leadership parity. So at all levels, whether it's an entry-level college graduate or whether it's a senior executive, Intel is highly focused on making sure that we have representation at all the different levels. And so a couple of the things that we're proud of, we were 2 years early to reach full market representation. Intel has goals every year on lots of different things, lots of very specific goals around diversity and inclusion that are super important to us. We have $1 billion investment. So, when we talk about diverse opinions, not only at Intel, but we want to make sure that we are being open with the stakeholders that we work with. So what you'll see here is that annually Intel spends $1 billion working with diverse owned suppliers. And so it's not something where we just talk about it. We make sure that we are supporting it with goals that are tangible and measured at Intel, but also external with our vendors, et cetera. And then 100%, we have gender pay equity. And this is a huge focus. So the things that I really love about just kind of highlighting this to the group today is really, yes, business is a big part of what we do. Driving analytics, providing data to solve problems for the globe is definitely a big piece of it. But Intel equally focuses on what we call just great place to work and making sure that everyone can bring their full selves to the work environment and that we have diverse perspectives on every decision that we make. Okay. Mark, you want to move forward? Okay, so what we want to talk about today is really just why the three of us are here. We specifically have, what I want to talk about is our internships that we have available. We are planning to hire for next summer between 15 to 20 interns. They will typically come in through the summer months, and ultimately the things that are really awesome, I think, about our internship program is a few things. One, if you're an intern at Intel, you will have a real job. You often hear about internships outside of Intel that may be, maybe are a little bit more administrative. When someone receives an internship here, it's a great way for them to see what our culture is like, what the job is like. They will interact directly with a customer. They will interact directly with Intel stakeholders, and it is basically a full-time job. It is paid, so there is salary involved in all of our internships. And you're getting real world experience in this experience that you have there. Another huge thing, as Mark mentioned at the very beginning, that I want to repeat is we really use our interns as our pipeline for future hire. So if we have a college student who is doing well in their internship, we may extend them beyond just the summer if they're available. But ultimately, we are trying to groom and coach and develop those employees so that we can hopefully hire them upon graduation. So once the the intern has graduated from college. Several of them are placed in permanent positions within our organization. And so we really invest quite a bit into our internship program to make sure, again, that the interns have an opportunity to really experience what it's like to work for Intel. And it gives us a great opportunity to see your awesome talent and your awesome skills that make it a clear decision for us to hire you in the future. Yep. So within our organization, as we mentioned, there's 145 employees. There's really two primary positions that we typically bring interns into. So I really wanted to just spend some time focused on what those two are. The first one is called a customer business analyst. We refer to it as a CBA. This individual or these individuals are working oftentimes with Intel's direct customers. And so as we talked about, within our Americas organization, we manage 50% of Intel's revenue. So the individuals in this role are typically like Nathan, who works directly with Apple. So he is on the phone every day with Apple. He's working to understand what their demand requirements are. He's responding back to them with what supply Intel can provide. He's working with a broad network in order to support that customer. But at the end of the day, the customer business analyst is what we call customer obsessed, ultimately trying to do everything they can to ensure their customer success. And so they work with several stakeholders internal to Intel and with our field representatives to ensure that they are able to meet those customer requirements. The rebate analyst is the second role that we often have interns work in. There is some interaction as well with the customer. They work directly with our field sales reps and heavily with finance. Specifically, what they are working on is calculating rebate payments that and forecasting accruals for the customer. So ultimately, Apple, let's stay on that example. There's times where we need to pay them back rebates for some of the product that they bought. So it's very focused on making sure that the data is all accurate there so that we know how much to pay back to Apple at the end of each quarter. One thing I want to call out, and Mark had this on his one slide to really pay attention to, is data analysis within our organization really is a primary driver to everything we do. So in order for you to know what actions to take or what to propose, oftentimes you need to use data. And so some of the skills that are critical for these two roles are really being able to work efficiently in Excel, Microsoft BI, but being able to take a large amount of data, 20,000 lines, and boiling it down to something that is tangible and relatable is core to both of these roles. So both of these are, like I said, internships that we'll have this next summer. We should have 15 to 20 candidates who assume internship roles in these two spaces, in these two roles. This here, I love that Mark added this to the slide. He called it pre-COVID. So we really do a lot to make it a great place to work. Certainly the job can be challenging. You're dealing with customers. Oftentimes it's like any customer role. They might be upset. You have to solve their problems, but we work really hard, but we also make sure that we have a great place to work. And great place to work is a lot of different things. Ultimately, to me, it is really loving what you do and loving the people that you work with and feeling like you are part of something. And that is something that with 100% of my heart, I can say that AMR operations is about. In a normal environment, we have at least a quarterly team building event. Here on this page, you see we went to the River Cats games in Sacramento. The picture in the middle there is the interns traveling to Santa Clara on the company jet to get, meet with some senior executives to understand different perspectives. And so, we know that we expect a lot from our employees, but we want to make sure that they feel like they're part of something big and that they're feeling that they can contribute to Intel. So we have lots of different fun things that we do at Intel. Yeah. Oh, sorry. One thing that I didn't mention on the prior slide is I know we talked about community. So, community, Intel knows that without the community around us supporting us, that we would really be nothing. So some of the awesome things that we are able to do is we go out into the community and we volunteer our time Intel is very generous with this. People take work time to go out into the community. As an organization, America's Operations usually has we call it a giving back week. And there are probably 10 different events that people sign up for. So it's just a great way to network with your coworkers. It's a great way to give back to the community. And then Intel on top of that actually donates money to that organization on behalf of the hours that we've volunteered there. So this is something that is just really makes it even more special to work at Intel that I didn't mention. So, obviously this last summer was a very unique intern experience. So typically our interns, no matter where they're from in the United States, they move to Folsom in this example where our primary location is, and they have an opportunity to, join events. We go out to different things, but this year was unique. We were all in a virtual environment, just like you were all doing during school. So connecting and trying to figure out how to keep morale high was a big focus for us. Some of the things that we did this year, and I would expect this to be the case next year, because as of now, we are expecting our internships for next summer to likely be virtual. If there is some great news and something changes, then we would, have folks come to the campus. But as of now, I would expect that all our internships next summer are going to be virtual. So we try to make it fun. We do things like virtual coffee breaks, weekly trivia games. There's always a winner. We did something really awesome recently. We had a department meeting, which was held during lunch, and everyone received a gift card for Uber Eats so that you could order your food before the meeting, and it just made it a lot of fun. So we're trying to make sure that we keep the morale high and keep people feeling special and rewarded even during these unique times. All right. So I do want to just kind of pause. As we mentioned, the internships for Intel are all paid, and it's pretty generous, I think, in my opinion. But also, some of the things as you're considering where you'll want to work in the future that we want to make sure we highlight that we think are really awesome about Intel are our overall benefits. So we invest in people's lives and in their careers, as you've seen through even my bio, or you look at Mark's, like we've all had different jobs. Intel managers spend an enormous amount of time investing in their employees' growth and development. And so we want people to have, depth and understand the role that they're in. We want them to get breadth, because we know that one, it's fulfilling for the employee, and two, it makes Intel a stronger company because you've got, quite a bit of understanding of how different things work. So this is a huge piece of investment that Intel does. We also reward, I feel, very, very nicely. So peers can give each other awards. So if Nathan feels like Mark has done a great job today on this presentation, he can send him a recognition saying thank you. We also have competitive pay, stock, bonuses. So at Intel, there are two there's an annual bonus, and then there are quarterly bonuses that are 4 times a year. These are based on Intel's success. So obviously, as team members at Intel, we are all working really hard to make sure that we hit our revenue targets, et cetera. And then when we do, it's pretty awesome that everyone is rewarded accordingly based on the results. If you're a full-time hire, there are stock programs. One that people receive immediately if they want to opt in is a stock purchase plan. So it allows us to purchase stock at a lower price, and then we can actually flip it the same day and have a guaranteed income right off the bat. So that's one thing that is open to all employees. We also provide restricted stock units, so Intel granting stock, and that's for full-time employees as well. And then certainly there are lots of different programs, retirement programs. There are programs for individuals who have children or are taking care of elderly parents. So it really has a broad range of different personal things that we feel really make it just a #1 company to work for. Okay. All right, I'll pass it over to Nathan.
Yeah, so really quickly, so what we'll do is I really wanted Nathan to kind of share sort of a day in the life of, just to give you a better idea of kind of the day-to-day things that you'll be doing as a CBA or an RA. So he's going to take a couple minutes to kind of explain what he does during the day and some of the challenges he comes across and sort of the work environment that he works within.
Thanks, Mark. So what does a customer business analyst do? Like Christina said, one of the most important things is customer service, or what we like to call customer obsessed. You are the directly responsible individual. So you are the advocate on behalf of your customer. So it's really important to be able to sit with them and understand their needs. Throughout the week, you have a series of benchmarks that you work towards, whether that's managing your supply allocations for the customer or forecasting your demand. You'll work daily on those, at least to hit the Wednesday, Friday type cutoffs. But you'll be working with a lot of familiar applications that you may already use today, whether that's PowerPoint for building presentations, or particularly in Excel. As Christina had said, we handle a large amount of data. So being able to process that, sort through it, and find the story that you need on behalf of your customer when you're advocating for them internally, so that you can accomplish everything that you need to. You'll also use some different business intelligence tools. We recently started using Microsoft Power BI, which has just been an amazing lifesaver, and even helps more than Excel, I would say, in helping to find the story that you need to tell. Another very popular one is SAP. So that's what we use for our inventory and order management. So you'll be working with those on a daily level in order to understand and make sure that the customer is getting everything that they want and need. On top of that, the first thing in the day sometimes is just starting off on your inbox and finding out what's happened, because I think both Mark and Christina could tell you that there's always something every day, usually not expected. So problem solving and being able to communicate become extremely important on the job. For example, one thing that I had happen recently, we just had a holiday over in China for Golden Week. So there was a lot of different issues that I had to sort through when it came to different shipments that were in customs and things like that. So getting to find out what those needs are from the customer, and then finding out who do you need to talk to internally, whether it's working with the carriers to get that done, or if it's even going all the way up to planners and then finding out how much more future supply you need in order to account for that. But that's a very high level of what you're doing between communicating with the customer, advocating for them when you're internal, because you are the voice of the customer when you're working in Intel.
Great, thanks, Nathan. Yeah, I just want to impress upon the importance of the roles that Nathan plays as a CBA, and all of our CBAs and RAs, particularly the CBAs, who really are the first point of contact from the customer to our factory-facing operations when it comes to allocating supply, understanding the demand needs of the customer. If Nathan doesn't do his job right, he could potentially shut down Apple's manufacturing lines, which means Apple doesn't get product to market and Apple loses a ton of revenue. So, you know, and he's been doing this for 2 years now, and he started on the Apple account. And, you know, from day one, we have a great onboarding and training program, but the products that he controls is like, you know, I said day one, a month into it, when he has kind of figured out how to do his job and he's been trained, he's the person, and Apple relies on him to get them the products they need to make sure they can get their products out to the customer. So it's very rewarding. It's very challenging. And I think you'll find it an exciting job. And oh, by the way, Nathan also gets the inside scoop because he's dealing with with Apple on what's coming to market before anybody else does. So it's a great way. I mean, it's just a really cool job, and it's a really cool function. So, all right. So Catherine, do we have? I know we had this set up for an hour, but I know the meeting was scheduled, or has 2 hours. Can we go beyond the hour? Is that okay?
I'm comfortable as long as you're comfortable.
Yeah, great. Okay, because I want to make sure we have enough time for Q&A. But let's talk about the process. So what do you do from here? So our process, we'll start interviewing candidates probably in November. Ideally, our goal is to have our 15 offers and acceptances out to candidates by December. Likelihood, because of COVID and some logistical challenges that we have, this could roll into the January timeframe, but certainly by January, we will have all of our roles filled. And hopefully before Christmas, we'll have our offers out. So on this slide, and you can see the job requisition number. It's this JR, let's see if I can do a pointer, laser pointer. Okay, it's this right here, this rec number. So JR 0146541. If you go to jobs.intel.com, or if you go onto Handshake and find the job requisition on Handshake, and I'm sure you can find this through your contacts at Los Rios. You can apply to the rec. It's super easy. It asks for some basic information about you, your school, uploading your resume, and then you push a button, it's uploaded, and you're done. You really need to have this done probably before the end of the month, but the first week of November is probably still open. I think the job rec closes on Handshake November 6th, I heard, but we will be well into selecting candidates for interviews by the beginning of November. I personally look through all the resumes that hit, and we get hundreds and hundreds every single year. So at some point I have to cut it off. And when I get enough candidates that I feel will get the 15 we need, I stop looking. So the sooner you can get your resume in and the sooner you can apply, the better chance you have of being selected to interview. The interview process is typically an hour-long interview with 2 to 3 managers. It lasts an hour. They're virtual now, so we'll do it on a Cisco WebEx call, or we'll do it on, we don't usually use Zoom, but sometimes we use video, sometimes we don't, depending on what availability the candidates have. But it's an hour, as I mentioned, and then you'll have a chance for some Q&A. Once we complete all the interviews, we get together with all of our interviewers. We select the top candidates and we rank them, and then we get our 15 from there. So that's the process, pretty easy. I think now we can open it up to Q&A if we have things queued up, or if anybody has anything, I think we can come off mute and they can ask and we'll try to answer your questions.
Yeah. Hey, Mark, one thing I would suggest too is if you are attending this session today and you're submitting your resume, go ahead and note on your resume that you were in attendance for this. That helps us to kind of pinpoint and narrow in on some of the people who have invested in trying to find out about Intel. So again, just put a little note on your resume that you attended the Los Rios session on October 15th.
And I think we're also trying to schedule another time where you'll get an opportunity to register to have a 5-minute one-on-one discussion with one of us or one of my colleagues to kind of show us your resume and talk about what you're looking for. And it's just kind of a quick, I'll call it an elevator pitch on you. And those are really, really valuable for me, because if I talk to you for 5 minutes and something strikes me, and I've seen your resume, you still have to apply online. But when I go through those, I have a stack of those that I keep, and I'll immediately go and find those students that I've talked to that I really like, that I want to have interviews. And I'll pull them right off the top and put them into the interview queue. So I would encourage you to register for that event, and it'll be in a couple of weeks. And then regardless if you get a chance to do that or not, still apply to this job requisition. Okay, ready for Q&A.
All right, well, hi everyone. We're gonna, Ashley and I are gonna field some of the questions, and Mark and Christina and Nathan will just verbally read them for you. So I'm over in the YouTube live stream, and I just have 2 questions. So I think I'll start there, and then Ashley will take over on the Zoom chat side. So I have a student, she says, I am a computer science major with an interest in business. Would this internship still be beneficial when applying for a job at Intel in a different field upon graduating?
Yeah, so that's the interesting question. Certainly, if you were selected and you had this business experience with Intel, any business experience like this would help you further in your career. One of the things, though, that I'll be brutally honest about is As Christina mentioned and I mentioned, we are really looking for this to be a pipeline for full-time hires when you graduate. So some of the questions that you'll be asked in the interview and also in these one-on-one sessions that we're setting up is, what are your real interests? What are you looking to do? It doesn't do us a lot of good to hire you if you're interested in IT to come and do a summer internship in operations. You're not going to be interested in the work that we're doing. It's not going to lead to a full-time offer in operations. It just doesn't benefit you or us. So really what we're looking for, and I don't care what your major is, you could be a computer science major. And if you decide, hey, you know, that's great. It's a good background to have, particularly with a company like Intel. But what I'm really interested in is the business side of it, sales, marketing, logistics, supply chain management, you know, market forecasting. Great. That's what we're looking for. And a computer science major is a great major to have that will help you in that type of a role.
Excellent.
Yeah. Hey, just a quick follow on, because I've been kind of trying to follow the ones coming into the chat. Similar one. If you go to jobs online that we have up currently, you would be able to see all of the internships that Intel has. There are probably, I don't know, at least 100 probably in just Folsom alone that will cover from engineering to operations like our organization, all of the SMG ones. So there is a broad range of them. We specifically within our organization have the 15 to 20 for specifically the business operations group, but there are others. So just wanted to let you know that. There was another question in the chat around contract workers. So we do have a few contract workers. It's not a common pipeline, but what I would say is that there are individuals who start as contract workers at Intel. Those are not permanent positions, but upon graduation, if they are demonstrating the skills that we need as an organization, we would formally consider them and potentially hire them into a permanent role. So it is a way that some people get hired on.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Christina. I think Ashley will probably relay a couple of them now to you.
Hi, everyone. So I have a bunch of questions coming into the chat. The first one that we got a while ago was, what are the application dates? I believe that you may have gone over those, Mark, but if you just want to repeat it again.
Yep. Yeah, again, I would encourage you to apply for this requisition this week or next week. It is okay the first week in November, but the sooner the better. I'll be honest, as I look through the resumes, I really start with one, those students that I've met and that I've had the opportunity to do a quick one-on-one with that I've really thought would be a good fit. And then I start with the first person who submitted an application, and then I go in order of when they've submitted. And when I get the number of applicants that I need to fulfill 15 positions, I stop looking at resumes. So if you put your resume in at the 11th hour and apply, you may not even get a chance to look at your resume.
Awesome. Thanks, Mark. If a student doesn't know the applications that Nathan mentioned, such as SAP, will you be providing training?
Yeah, so all of our roles we have a really great onboarding program. We have a great training program. We assign every employee and intern mentors. We assign them buddies. They have a huge network of support to go to understand and learn some of the tools that you're using. I would say that, you know, along with some of the analytics and analysis, and you really do need to understand at least the Microsoft Office tool suite. So you need to be able to use Outlook and Excel and PowerPoint and those. Not required to understand or utilize Power BI, although that's a nice to have. And some of the other tools like SAP will teach you everything you need to know about SAP.
Awesome. Mark, are you also offering an SMG communications internship for summer 2021? This person's on internship job board post.
I actually answered this one, Mark, in the chat as well.
Yeah.
So you will see on Handshake that there are likely several positions listed for SMG. So if you are seeing one that's under the communications, I think that's accurate. Specifically for Mark, myself, and Nathan, that we are specifically referring to the business the sales operations analyst role. But yes, there are SMG other internships that we are also hiring for. So we're working closely with our partners on that to make sure that we have everything listed that's within the SMG umbrella.
Thanks, Christina. A student asked, does Intel hire employees through the staffing agencies? If yes, will that experience count for getting a permanent job at Intel? This person is not a major in business. However, they are an assistant manager at a convenience store. Will this experience work for me?
Yeah, I think I answered this one. Oh yeah, go ahead. So we answered
No,
that one.
Go ahead.
There are individuals who come through contract, we call them contract workers, and we work with agencies like Kelly Services. We do sometimes hire individuals who have been in contract worker positions. Within our organization, we only have probably around 4 contract workers, though. There are others at Intel, though.
Thanks, Christina. The presentation mentioned a 12 to 14 week commitment. When exactly would this start and end? This person is trying to figure out their summer classes.
Go ahead, Christina.
Oh yeah. So typically they start once your spring semester has ended. So for the majority of our internships, there are some, we kind of have 2 groups. Some finish in May. So we have some that start in May, and then we have others who start in June. Then they would go up until about 2 weeks prior to your fall semester start. So we work with the individuals to go around when their semesters start and end.
One of these students, their husband works at Intel. Does that give them an advantage or a referral?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's great, but no, we really, all of our hiring comes from the merits of the individual. So if you have a friend, a relative, a spouse that works at Intel, that's great. You can, when we get back in the offices, if we get back in the offices, you can all commute together, but it gives you no advantage in our hiring process.
Got it.
There is a referral program. So if I refer someone, or if her husband refers her in this example and she is hired on, then he would receive a hiring referral bonus.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So once you get here, we want you to refer great people. So in that respect, though, we do look at that and consider that.
How much of the 14 weeks is training if offered, and how long is the training?
Yeah, I can go ahead and take that one as well. So we have a pretty robust training program within our group. So when an intern starts or a permanent hire starts, they are immediately connected to a primary person who will be responsible for their training. It's typically the person who had the role prior to them. They are also given a buddy to help kind of just ask other types of questions. Each role is different and each person is different. So I'd say that, you're in pretty heavy training for the first 2 to 3 weeks. There's always someone there to oversee your work and help you. But if you are moving faster, then you can integrate into your job by yourself sooner. If it's taking a little bit longer, then you would have a person helping you along the way. But it's pretty heavy training, I'd say, for the first 2 to 3 weeks, just getting familiar with our tools, our processes, and it's just very individual based. Some people can take off quicker than others. But it is a pretty quick ramp because you have only 12 to 14 weeks while you're here. So we do expect people to, kind of hit the ground running and get going pretty quick.
All right, Intel team, I have a couple more over here on the YouTube stream. Noah is asking, is it possible for a high school student who is dual enrolled at FLC, that means he's taking a couple classes while he's in high school, to get an internship at Intel? I know there is a high school internship program, but I would like to do one at the college level.
Yeah, so typically what we look for is, I'll be honest, we typically look for sophomores going into their junior year or juniors going into their senior year. Our experience has been individuals either just coming in as freshmen or high school students really don't have the experience or breadth of knowledge to make this a successful and a meaningful program. So we like to have students who've had a year or two of school under their belt and maybe some other type of employment somewhere, just because of the complexity and the requirements and demands of the roles. Anything else, Christina?
No, I think that's accurate.
Okay.
Thank you. And then we have another one, and that is, sorry, I typed too many words into the live stream. This person is asking, can someone with a bachelor's degree apply for an internship, or do you recommend applying for full-time positions?
Yeah, I'd say unless they were continuing on in their schooling and getting a master's, because we do have master's internships. So if they've got their degree already, then they would apply for a permanent position, which we also have within our organization. It would be a different rec number. They would not apply to the one that Mark has shown.
Thank you. Okay, Ashley, go for it.
Thanks, Julie. So we have a lot of questions about, which is really cool. We have a lot of questions about skills. What is the most important skill to have in this position other than problem solving? What do you look for in a potential intern candidate? So if you could, and those are just a few of them. If you could expand.
Yeah, so I mean, as I mentioned, obviously you have to have the analytic skills to be able to do a lot of the functions that we require you to do to support our customer. But I always tell folks, you can be the smartest analyst in the room, but if you can't communicate that, then you're kind of useless to anyone. So really, to me, the second most important skill could be the first most important skill, is really strong communication skills. You have to be able to deliver a message very concisely in a very easy to understand manner. Because if you don't, it creates ambiguity and confusion with the customer, with internal stakeholders, and that just causes a lot of work for everybody else. And so that's probably the other biggest skill that I would say you need.
Awesome, thanks, Mark. We have a couple of questions about just on Los Rios' side, a couple of questions, a lot of eager students wanting one-on-one time with Christina and Mark and Nathan. We will let you know when that session has been planned for. We will email you the details for that, and you'll be able to sign up for a one-on-one with these awesome Intel recruiters. So we will get that information to you. Back to our Intel folks, is there an internship opportunity for computer science students available?
I think we touched on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
There are lots of opportunities. So just go out. If you're not interested in the one that we're offering here, if you just go to jobs.intel.com and do a search for internship, a whole host will pop up. So you can look through those and see if there's something that suits you better.
All right. Quote unquote, the ability to manage large amounts of data in Excel to propose, oh wait, okay, that was just a comment. Sorry about that. What would an average amount of hours a week, what would be the average amount of hours a week expected in this type of work?
Full time. Oh, I'm going to take that.
Yeah, particularly when doing the ramp up and the training, you can expect that to take up a good amount of time. For my case, when I had first started ramping up, I actually spent a little bit extra time just going through some different training courses that are available as a resource. I found that very useful. Sort of a lot of time invested for me up front saved me a lot of time further down the road.
Awesome. Nathan, and I appreciate you answering Ryan's question about finding solutions to tricky problems. Very, very cool. Thank you. A question came in about, does Intel have its Spanish department? in the Folsom location that focuses on providing customer service to the Spanish community in the United States.
I don't know if Christine, do you want to answer that? Did she drop?
I think Christina had to drop.
Okay. Yeah, we don't have, so we do have an operations group down in Costa Rica that primarily deals with our most of the Latin and South American countries. We don't really have an internship program in Costa Rica. So as an individual, you're working with a certain set of customers that I mentioned during the presentation. And then you're also working with internal stakeholders as well. So this is not really these jobs aren't like call center customer service type jobs like in the retail industry. These roles are primarily dealing with, so for instance, if you're on the Dell account or the Apple account like Nathan is, communicating and dealing with your counterparts at the Apple company who is purchasing the parts from Intel to go build their systems. So it's a business to business type of environment. And then you're also dealing with internally our operations folks who communicate directly with our factories to provide factories with the right wafer starts to get the right products out at the right time.
Thanks, Mark. Julie, do you have any others, or I can keep going?
Yeah, I have a couple more. So we have a question from Jonathan. He says, I am currently employed as a leader with a major retail company. Would this affect my eligibility for this internship? Doesn't seem like it, does it?
No, I mean, again, so this is a full-time job during the summer. So if you are working full-time at a retail place or part-time at a retail place, it's going to be extremely hard to fulfill the obligation because your role at Intel during those 12 to 14 weeks is considered a full-time position.
Got it. Okay, and then one more. Wamika asks, will having work experience in other fields not corresponding to the job description, would that give one leverage over other applicants?
Well, I think it, again, so the way we interview and what I'm looking for in an interview is we ask a series of behavioral questions, and we really embrace diversity of, not only people, but diversity of their work and life experiences. So having lots of different diverse types of events in your life, whether it's jobs or experiences, always helps when you're discussing and answering some of the questions we ask. Like I said, I don't care what you did before. Again, I always use Nathan as my example. He was working as a bartender, as a theater manager. So, it doesn't matter what you've done. I'm looking for a certain set of skills. And when I find people who I believe have those skills, those are the ones that I'd like to hire.
Okay. All right, Ashley, you should keep going. And I just have a couple more after that.
All right. Let's see. Will we be able to have a mentor in these internship roles? And I believe you said yes, correct, Mark?
Yep. Yeah.
All right.
You get a mentor, you get a manager, you'll get a mentor, and then you'll also get a buddy. And the buddy is somebody you can go to ask all those dumb questions that you don't want to ask anybody else.
All right. Let's see. If I transfer, okay, wait. I understand this firm offers some investment opportunities. Are corporate bonds available from this company?
Wow. So we have we have two different programs for stock. We have a stock purchase program where you can purchase Intel stock at a discount to market. It works on a semi-annual basis. So every 6 months, you purchase stock, and then at the end of that 6 months, you have what happens is you'll either own that stock and it goes into an account and you can hold it, or you can do an immediate sell, and you can immediately sell the stock and then take the proceeds and do whatever you want with it. We also have a stock grant program. So when you get hired on as a full-time employee, part of your annual compensation is restricted shares. And restricted shares are basically, you're granted a certain number of shares, and they vest over a 4-year period. So 25% of that stock grant vests every year for 4 years until you own all the stock. And so once you're 4 years into Intel, then you start to see how that builds, because now you have 4 different stock grants that are vesting every single year, and that really adds up. So those are the 2 programs we offer. If you want to go buy corporate bonds, I suggest you find a good broker at brokerage and you purchase them that way.
Awesome. Thanks, Mark. So we just had a question come in. Just to be clear, those who have a bachelor's in business like me will not be hired for the internships on Handshake. And the 2 mentioned in the Zoom meeting as you're looking for students who are undergraduate or just recently graduated from college.
Yeah, so the internship, one of the requirements of the internship program is that you are a full-time student. So if you're pursuing a postgraduate degree, which means you have an undergraduate degree, certainly you are qualified to apply for an internship. But if you have a undergraduate degree and you're not going to school and you're just working, or you just want to work, what I would suggest is that you go to jobs.intel.com, and I would say, if you're looking for a job in operations, type in BMG, and then all the business management group opportunities will come up, and apply for a full-time hire.
Okay. And is there a history of so this person has a history of customer service and tech support. They're wondering if that is a plus for you.
Like I said, it's all your experiences really reflect who you are, and it really just depends on how well you're able to communicate what skills you have learned and developed, and how that translates to you being successful at Intel based on the job description that we've provided.
Thanks, Mark. Julie, take it away.
Okay, we just have a few more over here. Danielle is asking, if we are going to do this internship virtually, how would that be different than in-house?
Well, essentially, the only difference is you're not sitting in a cube in an office amongst your 150 plus peers that sit in the Folsom campus. So, you know, for me, I get up in the morning, I get a cup of coffee, and I come to my office in my house and I start working. We have lots of different resources, to conference, to video conference, IMs, emails. You obviously have your Intel provided PC that you do a lot of your work on. You'll be able to fully connect to our internal systems to have access to the data and the information that you need in order to perform your job functions and roles. So working virtually is just like working in the office. It's just a different environment. And you probably dress a little more casually. Most mornings I get up and I'm in a t-shirt and shorts or jeans and flip-flops, and I come work, and you know, I save my commute time, and I'm a little more comfortable. But we are pretty casual anyway. It's you know, most of the time, even in an in-office environment, I'm in a t-shirt and jeans. So
that's great.
But it is nice to, you know, it is nice to see folks on a daily basis. I do miss the personal interactions with folks. You know, some people like being at home, some people don't. So I think most of the folks you'll find in our group actually do really enjoy the ability to be able to communicate directly with folks that they work with. So it is nice, but I think most have adjusted. And we do a lot of things, like Christina mentioned in the presentation, to try to keep morale high and keep people connected. I really do like that we do these, we do virtual happy hours all the time. So I sit on staff. Our staff for the Americas operations is 7 people. It's our senior leadership team. And I'd say probably at least once a month, sometimes twice a month, we set aside an hour where we all get onto a WebEx meeting with drinks in hand, usually around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and we chat about everything but work. And it's nice to do that. It kind of keeps things real between friends. We do luncheons with people. We do like virtual coffee chats where somebody will have a topic, and it's like a half-hour session where somebody will talk about a certain topic, and there's a lot of interaction. So fun stuff like that keep us connected. But that's really the only difference.
Okay, and then we have, just finishing that. Okay, so we have a Cosumnes River College alumni who's currently a senior at UC Irvine. They are about to complete their business administration degree in June of 2021. Would I be eligible to apply for this internship?
No, not the internship, but certainly there are opportunities that are going to be available in the June timeframe. So I would highly encourage them to apply and go to jobs.intel.com and look for that opportunity within America's operations. So
tell them to apply for a permanent position, a job?
Yeah, full-time hire, yeah.
Okay.
And again, I would say the 2 key words to look for is BMG, which is the business management group, or even like America's operations, and they'll see the opportunities within the group. So.
Okay. I think I have another one. Let's see. I think that's it on this side.
All right, I just have a couple more, Mark, and everyone, we're almost done. Thank you for hanging in there.
Sure.
So are there any volunteer positions to learn at job at Intel? I think they're just asking, are there any volunteer positions at Intel currently?
Ooh, volunteer positions. I'm not sure exactly what they're looking for, but typically I don't know of any types of programs like that.
Okay. All right, last one. 2 questions about being in Sacramento. Do they have to be in Sacramento to apply for the internship? And another student asking, if I transferred in the fall semester, would I still be able to apply if I'm not in Sacramento?
Yes, so we hire from all over the country. Typically, we do require, if you are, for an intern, you don't have to be in the local area. But you'll come to the local, if we are in the office, which is probably a low probability, then we typically would relocate students to Folsom, and then we would, they would stay there. We have resources to help them find an apartment. There's lots of apartments just right across the street, so most people rent from there, and then they just walk into work every day. But you don't have to be in the local area for the intern program. If you are hired full-time, we typically require you to relocate to the Folsom campus. But in rare instances, we do have folks. We have a couple of folks that work up in out of our Oregon campus, and we have 1 or 2 that work out of our Santa Clara campus. Now, having said that, since we've been in this new working environment, there are talks that are very senior leadership of different ways to work. So, we'll see what happens when we get out of this, hopefully sometime next year. I think there's more open opportunity for folks to work remotely where they would normally have to relocate to the office where most of the group is. So, but for the intern program, you don't have to be in this area. We get folks from Oregon, from Southern California, Arizona, all over the place, and they just come for the summer, do the program, and then head back to school in the fall. But then, if they are to get a full-time hire, they would be have to be open to moving to Folsom, which is a great place, by the way.
We have one more question from the YouTube stream. I I just put it in the chat. I don't know what a returnship is, but they're asking.
Okay, I think they're, yeah, so if you're a sophomore going into your junior year and you come and get an internship and you do a fantastic job, the likelihood is we are going to ask you before you leave if you would like to come back the following summer for a second internship, and you're already locked into your next year's intern program. If you do a bang up job in that second intern program, the likelihood is if there's the opportunity that we would probably give you an offer for a full-time hire when you graduated the following year. So that's kind of how our pipeline works. Now we typically reserve those for our best interns. But even if you didn't get a full-time hire opportunity, just interning with us and doing a good job and getting good reports at the end puts you in a much better position to get asked to come interview for a full-time position when you graduate.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, so first I want to thank our wonderful presenters. I want to thank Mark and Nathan and Christina for taking the time to connect with all of the Los Rios students. Also want to thank the work experience team for throughout the district. And again, there's a real quick just reminder, I know it's in the chat box about who your contacts at your respective colleges are. Some of the things that really jumped out at me is the sooner the better that you get your application in, just hearing Mark talk about the process. So if you do need support with your resume, or if you are granted that first level interview, know that this team can support you in that process. So and Mark, can you remind me about the application deadline? I know it's up until early November, but can you remind me of the deadline?
Yeah, so there's no hard deadline, but I would say if you haven't submitted your application by at least the first week in November, the likelihood is you're not going to get offered a interview. Okay,
that's really helpful. So really if you are thinking about applying again to these two positions, the CBA or customer business analyst position or the rebate analyst position, you have a few weeks. Really think about your resume and prepping, looking at that application ahead of time so you're not just trying to rush through. And this is your support system at your respective college. So I just want to remind students that we are here to support. And the other piece I want to give a quick plug is there are, as I mentioned earlier in the session, work experience not only supports students in application process, but we work with employers to offer events like this throughout the academic year. And so this is a sample of what's coming up throughout Los Rios. You can see there's a variety of opportunities. And I also want to highlight just on the bottom, there's a virtual career fair that's district-wide on November 17th from 10 to 2 p.m. So I do also know that there were other questions about the one-on-ones because this was so popular, right, Mark, that we had to figure out a way to make that happen. So everyone who registered for this event will get an invitation to sign up with details about the one-on-ones. It'll most likely be the end of October. That's most likely when it's going to be. Anything else before we sign off?
Thank you everybody for coming. It's so awesome to see this many students and have a district-wide virtual event like this. This is the first time our staff has ever done this, and you guys made it really great, including the Intel staff too.
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks for hanging in there.
Fantastic.
Yep. Okay,
right.
Well, thank you everyone. Good luck in the application process.
Bye.
Thanks everyone. Have a great day.
Bye everyone.